The movie begins with a scene set 2 weeks after an attack on Fortress Camp in Kyzyl, Russia. Sasha, feeling vulnerable and disturbed, encounters Russian thugs in her room. They engage in conversation, and to emphasize Sasha's fear, they record a video of themselves harassing her, leading her to scream out. Just then, Robert arrives and intervenes by incapacitating one of the thugs. He then confronts another thug, engaging in a knife fight. Despite being shot from behind by a different thug, Robert continues to fight back, injuring the shooter, before escaping with Sasha, marking the beginning of their story. Following the traumatic events at Fortress Camp, Sasha struggles to sleep. 2 weeks later, as everyone prepares to depart the camp, Kate takes charge of organizing things. Paul joins her, and they discuss maintaining order. During their conversation, Sasha, still shaken, joins them and shares her difficulties. Kate empathizes with Sasha's difficult situation. Later, Sasha approaches Robert seeking clarification, and Paul fills her in before she leaves. During another conversation between Kate and Paul, it is revealed that Robert rescued Kate by eliminating her husband. This revelation is followed by a kiss between Kate and Paul. Elsewhere, a girl discovers explosives in a box, prompting Kate to caution her to handle them carefully and relocate them to a safer place. In the medical area, Sasha expresses gratitude to Robert, who is receiving treatment for a gunshot wound. Robert apologizes for ending Sasha's husband's life and kisses her hand, seeking forgiveness. A month earlier, Frederick conceded defeat to Robert, requesting help to rescue his wife from the Russians. Although Robert agreed, he ultimately shot Frederick. Back in the medical area, Sasha reflects on Frederick's complex nature, while Robert comforts her, hoping she will eventually overcome her painful memories. She holds on to the belief that things will eventually turn out fine. In the narrative, Kate confides in Paul about her mother's impending visit to the location where she learned about the attack, expressing her apprehension and her desire for Paul to accompany her. Excited, Paul eagerly anticipates meeting Kate's mother. Ken heads to the airport to pick up Kate's mother, Carol. Carol compliments Ken, introduces him to her daughter Zoe, and they discuss Ken's military service and the recent dangerous events at Fortress Camp during their journey. Upon their safe arrival at Fortress Camp, Carol, though somewhat reassured, expresses concern about the risks her daughter Kate faces. She holds Kate in high regard, praising her as exceptional. Meanwhile, Robert contacts an officer, who assures him that his mission will be completed soon, bringing him joy. Ken drives them to the entrance of Fortress Camp, where they are granted entry by the guards. Indoors, they make their way to a secure cabin, which was in excellent condition just a week ago. Carol enjoys the scenery as they stroll to the office. Kate, Paul, and Zoe warmly welcome Carol, creating a joyful atmosphere during their reunion. Kate then guides everyone to their respective rooms, and Carol expresses a desire to explore the area. Kate introduces Robert to Carol, and Robert is impressed by Kate's efficient management. Carol and Robert engage in conversation, with Carol expressing concern for him. Robert reflects on the incident a month ago when Ulysses was killed while attempting to abduct Kate and Paul, highlighting Kate's bravery in that situation. During dinner, the mood is lively. Paul encourages everyone to savor the meal, while a tired Sasha opts to retire early. Carol inquires about Sasha, and Paul recounts how Robert rescued Sasha from Russian thugs, garnering positive reactions from the group. Later, captured on camera surveillance, Sasha uses a flashlight to send signals from outside the fortress. Meanwhile, inside, Zoe and Paul finish their meals. Carol praises Paul, delighting Kate, and they exchange their happiness with each other. As the narrative unfolds, Paul is occupied with his remote work, while Kate discusses making plans for their life post-departure from the fortress. Carol expresses concern for Sasha and intends to discuss work matters with Kate the following day. During the night, a drone surveils the fortress, and Ken visits Janice, who compliments the evening's meal. Ken expresses his desire to explore beyond their current location, and Janice reminisces about her childhood travels with her father. Ken then suggests a trip to Paris with Janice, and they both agree, concluding their evening with a romantic moment. The next morning, Robert expresses dissatisfaction with the food quality, leading Paul to jokingly suggest that even Russian prison food might be an improvement. They share a light-hearted moment, and Paul confides in Robert about his aspirations to build a future with Kate. Fond of Kate himself, Robert advises Paul to be a supportive partner to her. However, their day takes a dark turn when they discover one of the guards murdered by thugs, followed by another guard being killed. Meanwhile, Kate, Paul, and others prepare for an outing, with Ken eagerly anticipating the trip. In the midst of this, Zoe excuses herself to the restroom. Suddenly, vehicles filled with thugs arrive and launch an assault, resulting in the deaths of the fortress guards. Amidst the chaos, Paul rushes to ensure Zoe's safety in the restroom. The intruder seize control of the premises, holding everyone captive. Bristow, one of the assailants, menacingly confronts Kate. Amid a tense confrontation, Paul successfully disarms Bristow but is then compelled to relinquish his weapon. The situation intensifies as Janice and others attempt to flee, resulting in their being shot by the thugs. Ken is devastated by Janice's sudden death. The storyline takes a bleak and perilous turn as the characters face a critical and menacing predicament. Zoe endeavors to escape through a tunnel in the restroom, while Robert is astonished to encounter Frederick. They both make their way to the office, only to discover Janice's lifeless body. Robert grieves her demise but is surprised when Frederick implies that everything has been resolved. Frederick then communicates this to Sasha, who offers her apologies to all involved. During this tense part of the story, Sasha tries to convince Frederick to avoid further violence, but he's torn between his desire for revenge and his financial needs. He contacts Ulysses, who surprisingly turns out to still be alive. They plot against Paul, resulting in a shocking event where Ulysses appears and kills Paul. Afterward, Frederick captures Kate, and Sasha tries to calm the situation, while Frederick emphasizes the importance of trust. Frederick's men then separate the group. Kate is confined and tied up in a room where her ordeal is being recorded. Meanwhile, Paul is also restrained and kept in the same place as Frederick. When Paul asks about Kate, Frederick menacingly brandishes a knife, suggesting she's in immediate danger. Denton has set up a computer system, and Frederick demands that Paul access his money. Paul discloses that his government account has been blocked, preventing access to the funds. However, Frederick dismisses this, claiming Denton assured him the money is still there but inaccessible. Despite Denton's efforts, he fails to unlock the account. To pressure Paul into compliance, Frederick shows him a distressing video of Kate, deeply upsetting Paul and leaving him devastated. Witnessing this, Sasha is reminded of her own harrowing ordeal in a Russian prison and leaves the scene. In another area of the location, two thugs interrogate Ken about his military background, discovering he was formerly in the army. As former Marines themselves, the thugs conspire to eliminate Ken. Meanwhile, Carol, bound to a chair, queries Robert about Frederick's intentions. Robert explains that Frederick's objective is to retrieve the money from them. In this highly stressful situation, Paul eventually succumbs and accesses his account, displaying the funds. However, Frederick, still dissatisfied, menaces Paul with a knife to his throat, demanding information about additional money. Paul insists that the government likely seized the remaining funds. Frederick then issues a serious warning to Paul: if he's mistaken about the money, his life is in jeopardy, and he instructs Paul to transfer the remaining funds. In this thrilling sequence, Paul ingeniously creates a diversion to escape by pretending to need the bathroom, taking a goon with him. Once inside, he discovers a concealed tunnel and disappears, leaving the goon perplexed when he breaks into the bathroom and finds it empty. Simultaneously, Ken, held by two goons, cleverly uses a flower to free himself and successfully overpowers the goons, escaping the immediate threat. In another section of the fortress, Paul is apprehended and sedated by a guard using a tranquilizer. However, Zoe steps in to help, incapacitating the guard and concealing Paul. She then proceeds to rescue Kate. Meanwhile, Kate, bound near Ulysses, encounters Bristow, who informs Ulysses that Frederick has summoned him. Ulysses is taken aback by Bristow's unexpected news. After parting ways with Ulysses, Bristow surprisingly attacks and overpowers Frederick. He then shifts his focus to Kate, making inappropriate comments and disabling the camera. Elsewhere, Denton and Frederick notice a laptop displaying active work. Denton points it out, leading Frederick to investigate, while Denton is tasked with checking on Paul. Denton discovers the washroom empty and, finding a concealed passage, emerges to find a goon unconscious. He revives the goon, and they commence searching for Paul. Upon returning to Frederick, they realize that Paul has managed to escape. Frederick, surprisingly calm, instructs them to locate Paul. Sasha, haunted by her past ordeals in a Russian prison, wanders outside, troubled by memories of previous torture. She continues on, weighed down by her traumatic history. Meanwhile, Bristow releases Kate and makes inappropriate advances towards her. Sasha intervenes just in time, subduing Bristow and rendering him unconscious. Zoe and Ken rendezvous, exchanging updates on their individual situations. Zoe unveils her plan to rescue Kate, who is confined in the painting room. Ken, recognizing the distance, spots a nearby bike. They opt to use it to travel to the location. However, as they approach the vehicles, they are suddenly ambushed by a goon. In this heart-pounding sequence, Ken and Zoe quickly mount the bike to flee, with a goon in hot pursuit. They venture into the woods, where the pursuer relentlessly follows them. Cleverly, Zoe and Ken devise a trap using a rope, causing the pursuer to stumble. A struggle ensues, climaxing with Zoe shooting the pursuer in the head, effectively eliminating the threat. Ken reassures Zoe that her actions were essential for their survival. Together, they continue to navigate the hazardous surroundings. Meanwhile, Sasha expresses regret to Kate for placing trust in Frederick, who had assured only taking the money without causing harm. Kate understands, and they share a comforting embrace. Kate then begins searching Bristow's clothes for car keys, hoping to find a means of escape. In a tense confrontation, Frederick confronts Robert with a gun, threatening Carol. Robert defends Carol, asserting her innocence. Motivated by revenge, Frederick unveils his plan to kill Paul and Kate. Carol, distressed, watches as Frederick opts not to kill Robert but instead to subject him to torture. Frederick confesses that Robert was not only a friend but also a mentor to him. He then releases Carol and escorts her away. Paul, having regained consciousness, returns to the bathroom through the tunnel. After dealing with a goon, he proceeds, armed. Sasha and Kate obtain the key from Bristow, enabling their escape before Ulysses awakens. However, Bristow catches up to them, and just as he is about to attack, Ulysses shoots him. Sasha then confronts Ulysses, who notifies Frederick of the situation. Frederick orders them to be brought to him. Robert manages to free himself, leaving Denton unconscious. He encounters Paul and urges him to keep moving while he goes in a different direction. Ulysses escorts Sasha and Kate to the office, where Kate reunites with her mother, Carol. Sasha pleads with Frederick for the safety of everyone. Meanwhile, Ken and Zoe arrive at the painting house, discovering it empty except for Bristow's lifeless body. They take a bike and make their way to the office. Amidst the chaos, a goon seizes Paul and delivers him to Frederick. In a pivotal moment, Robert converses with Frederick, who appears pleased to hear Robert's voice and requests him to end his life this time. Frederick announces his plan to eliminate Paul, but Kate intervenes, with Sasha pointing out their original intention was solely to retrieve the money, not to ensnare Frederick. Frederick accuses Robert of being responsible for Sasha's encounter with the Russian thugs, but Sasha denies this, accusing Frederick of accepting money from the Russians. Frederick attempts to justify his actions, claiming they benefit both Robert and Paul, but Sasha disputes this, asserting he's only pursuing his own interests. Frederick then discloses news of an approaching helicopter for their escape, but Sasha declines to join him, leading to a tense standoff. Suddenly, Kate discovers a bomb and swiftly disposes of it. The bomb explodes, causing panic and prompting everyone to scatter. At this critical moment, Ken arrives, taking down the pursuing goons. Paul and Kate share a kiss before Paul re-enters the conflict, confronting additional goons. Ken contributes to the fight, overpowering them one by one. In a revealing moment, Robert informs Frederick that he invested half of his wealth in a government foundation and established a new fortress camp to aid individuals like Frederick. Robert takes bold action, firing at Frederick and causing a nearby grenade to explode, resulting in Frederick's demise. Sasha, witnessing this, is filled with emotion, and Robert sympathizes with her distress. As the situation calms down, Paul, Kate, and Ken arrive to witness the aftermath of Frederick's demise. The following day, Carol watches Zoe and Kate interacting, feeling proud of Kate's achievements. However, the narrative takes an unexpected twist when a police car arrives, leading to Sasha's arrest, adding a new layer of complexity to the unfolding story. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell if you want to watch more videos like this. Thank you for watching and see you again soon. Take care.